Opendoor stock heads into Tuesday's pre-market with momentum and a growing sense that this movement is bigger than just a daily price swing. After Friday's profit-taking, Monday's regular session held steady and the aftermarket added another 15 cents, showing the $9 range continues to act as a solid floor. But the real story isn't about whether we're up or down a few cents. The real story is the tale of three Erics, and what their actions and influence could mean for Opendoor's future. The first Eric in this tale is Eric Wu. As one of Opendoor's original co-founders, Wu has always had a special connection to the company's mission. But now, with his return to the board alongside Keith Rabois, he's making it clear that his commitment goes beyond words. The SEC filing that dropped shows Wu personally purchased $3 million worth of Opendoor stock last week, buying 451,127 shares at a price of $6.65 each. This is insider conviction at its finest. Insiders sell for many reasons, but they buy for just one, because they believe the stock is undervalued and has tremendous upside. Think about the signal this sends. Wu already has a legacy tied to Opendoor. He doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. And yet, he's doubling down, literally putting millions of his own dollars behind the belief that Opendoor's next chapter will be transformative. Investors always look for clues, and insider buying is one of the clearest clues you can get. It says, the people who know this business best think the stock price today is a bargain compared to where it's going. But Wu isn't the only one showing conviction. That brings us to the second Eric in this tale, Eric Jackson. If Wu represents the founder DNA of the company, Jackson represents the energy and vision of the retail investor base, the Open Army. His campaign has been relentless. 28 straight days of content, videos from Drake's Place in Toronto, media appearances across Yahoo Finance and Fox News, and now, during his time in New York, he's taken the story to a whole new level. Jackson pointed out over the weekend that someone out there is sitting on a $26 million position in Opendoor. That's not a retail trader with a few shares in Robinhood. That's serious capital, and it reinforces the idea that big money is taking notice. When you combine that kind of institutional-sized bet with Wu's insider purchase, you start to see a pattern, conviction from both inside and outside. And conviction is what drives movements forward. Jackson has also been strategic in framing Opendoor as the ultimate retail play. He compared it to GameStop, making the point that Opendoor has already 20xd from its lows, the same kind of move that got GME onto the map. But unlike GameStop, which was built on what Warren Buffett once called a cigarette butt thesis, Opendoor is pivoting into something much bigger. It's not just about squeezing shorts, it's about becoming a growth-focused tech company again. That's where the long-term story is so compelling. Now, Jackson's influence extends beyond just investors. On Monday, he posted a photo with Eric Trump, who apparently voiced that he's been watching the Opendoor story with interest. And while that might not be a formal endorsement, it does show that the story is reaching into circles of political and cultural influence. Eric Trump has talked about housing reform before, and if he sees Opendoor as part of that conversation, that takes things to a different level. Suddenly, you're not just talking about stock price action, you're talking about societal impact. And that matters. That brings us to the third Eric in this story, Nejatian, the new CEO of Opendoor. And yes, his name isn't Eric, as it was clearly Eric Trump who was Eric number 3, but in this tale, he's the third force shaping the narrative. Kaz steps into the role with the kind of resume you rarely see in real estate. Coming from Shopify, where he was chief operating officer and helped scale one of the world's most important commerce platforms, he brings with him an AI-first mindset and a platform mentality. His first big moment will be on Tuesday, when he gives his debut interview as CEO on 20VC. This is an opportunity to set the tone, to articulate the vision, and to show investors that the leadership team is united, energized, and ready to deliver. Kaz's early comments have already signaled his belief in Opendoor's mission. He left a $200 billion company, where he was the number 2, because he saw the chance for Opendoor to be even bigger. That kind of move doesn't happen without serious belief in the potential. So here we are, heading into Tuesday's session, with a tale of three Erics weaving together a story of conviction, momentum, and vision. Eric Wu, buying millions of dollars worth of stock at a price well below where we sit now. Eric Jackson, growing his following from 30,000 to over 100,000 on X in a matter of weeks, energizing retail investors and putting Opendoor into the cultural conversation. And Kaz Nejatian, stepping onto the stage as CEO, ready to lead Opendoor into its AI-powered next chapter. It's also worth remembering the backdrop here. The Fed is set to announce its next interest rate decision this week, and the market increasingly expects a cut. Lower rates directly benefit Opendoor's core business model, as they make mortgages more affordable and drive housing market activity. Combine that macro tailwind with the company's internal transformation and the retail movement pushing behind it, and you have the ingredients for something powerful. Now, let's be realistic. Stocks don't move in straight lines. After an 80% rally on Thursday, a 13% pullback on Friday, and some leveling out Monday, it's clear there's volatility here. Profit-taking will happen, shorts will fight back, and not every day will be green. But if you zoom out, the direction of travel is clear. This is no longer the Opendoor of a few months ago. This is a company with founder DNA restored, a visionary new CEO in place, insiders buying, and a retail army that refuses to let the story fade. The question isn't whether Opendoor is going higher. The question is how fast it gets there, and what kind of catalysts accelerate the move. Tuesday could be one of those catalysts. If Kaz nails his first interview, it could be a defining moment. If Eric Jackson's relentless push continues to gain cultural traction, it could bring new investors into the fold. If Woo's insider purchase inspires confidence, it could convince more institutions to get involved. And if shorts start feeling the heat, well, we know what happens then. So as we head into the pre-market on Tuesday, keep the tale of three Erics in mind. Together, they represent the past, present, and future of Opendoor. Woo, the founder, showing his belief hasn't wavered. Jackson, the evangelist, spreading the story far and wide. And Kaz, the operator, bringing the tools, the mindset, and the leadership to turn potential into reality. This is the kind of alignment you rarely see in a company. And when it does happen, the results can be extraordinary. We may not know exactly what Tuesday's price action will look like, but the bigger picture is clear. Opendoor is building something generational, and the tale of three Erics is just the beginning of the story. So buckle up, because this week has all the ingredients to be another turning point for Opendoor stock. Whether it's the insider conviction, the retail energy, or the new leadership vision, momentum is building on multiple fronts. And when all those forces come together, it's not just a stock you're looking at, it's a movement.